pretty darn busy week. But got lots of furniture made, lots of new stuff, lots of, like I said, just new designs of furniture. We got crazy amounts of different furniture being made, which is just wild. So anyway, I flip my camera around here. I'm here in the wood shop. So what we're going to start with is this Greek key dresser is almost done. It's getting really close. We just got to finish up the fronts, and you can see that they're almost done. We have an MDF detail along here, which is routed on both sides, and of course we have cherry drawer boxes on soft close slides, which are really beautiful next to the Greek key trim, and then all of the router details all the way along, all the way down to the foot, which also has just tons of detail. So there's a crazy amount of detail on this piece, and customers seem to really like them. They're starting to move finally. So yeah, I think this is the year to get some traction on this. These are going to be Greek key pieces for a console here. I'll walk in here to the other side of the wood shop and show you the console. And yeah, this will be the year for the Greek key stuff. I've started making this stuff probably 2 years ago. It hasn't moved a ton, but now we're starting to see it move. So back over here. Then we have these are the feet that go on our Greek key console table, which is what the Greek key trim goes to that I was just showing you. So if I take this is kind of the front of the drawing right here. So you can just kind of see what we got going on there. Just a Greek key console table. It's part of our what we call is our Athena line. Anyway, this leg's gonna go back over to the wood shop. We just got so much stuff going on right now. It's absolutely wild. So yeah, this Greek key piece is gonna fit kind of on here something. I guess we got here something kind of like so. And anyway, so it's gonna be a cool looking piece when it's done. I'm really excited about it. So, whoops, drop things. Over here we've got this is a faux bamboo 9-drawer dresser. We're waiting on legs for this right now. So Armando got some of the Greek key put on, but he's kind of new. He doesn't quite understand what to do. But so I'm working with him on that. We have to put a piece of stainless steel, not stainless steel, a piece of steel all the way along here, and there's a decorative trim piece that's going to cover in front of it. That way, this particular dresser can be 80 inches long and never sag in the middle, which is cool. I've talked about this before. The top, here's what the top looks like. So this is like traditional furniture. So what we'll have here is we'll end up cutting a profile all the way along this piece of wood, right? Which I think people kind of are familiar with what that looks like. And then we'll laminate the top. And when we laminate the top, it allows for a beautiful surface when you're high gloss lacquered furniture. It makes it nice and smooth. But again, it allows you to keep that profile, and then you can add different kinds of details to your profile, which is really cool. And it's, like I said, kind of timeless. Here's the actual template that I use for routering this out. So I throw this template on here, and we'll align that kind of where we want it. Then we can run a router along here and carry that profile all the way along there, and then add what's called a cove along there as well. So that's what I've got going on with that. Looks like we've got people watching here now, which is good. Hello, everyone. Like helps for the algorithm. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. So here we're starting with, this is one pedestal of, it's basically a petite desk. Over here, I'll show you guys the quick drawing. Let's kind of show you what we got going on here. We got parts. Everything we make here is frame and panel construction. So it's always going to have a poplar panel, right? And then an MDF or a birch panel in the center. So what I have going on here is, this is the drawing. So normally we make these about 64 inches. This customer wanted a petite one. So we shrunk down the pedestals. As you can see right here, we've shrunk these pedestals down, and we'll go ahead and make that for her. And we'll, of course, fill it all out with faux bamboo because we're known for kind of the faux bamboo stuff. So that's what we got going on there. So I already talked about this. I talked about the new, I'm starting to CNC cut a lot more stuff. Normally, I used to make this by hand. So believe it or not, every piece of Greek key that I've ever made has been made on my pin router, right? And some of you might not know what a pin router is. So it's kind of an old school tool. Walk back in here to the wood shop. I'm gonna show you guys that real quick. So the pin router is this tool right here. So this is the tool that I've used for probably 6 years at this point, just making all of my Greek key parts. And you can see that router bit comes up and it follows this pin. So if you have a pattern, you can run a pattern which this pin will follow, and then it routes it into the bottom of your wood. So take this particular piece right here. If I look at, so what I've done is I've made all of these rectangles, and then whenever I put a piece of material like cherry wood on the bottom here, it'll go ahead and it'll go ahead and copy it all, which is super cool. So that's what I got going on there. Oops, sorry guys. Turn this, I'm always messing with this stupid cam. I'm learning how this stuff works, I promise. Anyway, you put that on there, it copies it, it's pretty dope. But anyway, so got that going on. Back over here, we got more parts for our Greek key console, which I was just showing you. We've got just a massive backlog of all kinds of things that need to be built. It's a lot of freaking work. So back over here where the table saws are. So I'm fortunate. I'm a two-man shop, or two-man wood shop, and I got 2 table saws, which is really nice. Got in a shit ton of trim. So this is how much. So I used to make all this by hand, and I got to where I was making so much trim all the time that I just started to have to cut it out. So in order to get, this is basically 500 feet of 1.5 inch trim, okay? That 500 feet cost approximately $580. So I'm gonna pull this cam out of here. Sorry guys, it's about to get a little bit less steady. But anyway, what I do is you have to order this stuff in, and we have to order it in basically 500-foot runs. And this is, again, I think it's about $580 for all of this. No, I take that back. This was $980 for all of this. But this is gonna give me about, I don't know, probably 30 cabinets. So this here is the same trim as we have over here, but it's gonna be 3/4 inch tall instead of 1.5 inch tall. And again, it's this beaded detail that you see on tons of faux bamboo furniture. And because I make so much faux bamboo furniture, it just makes sense to do this. Every one of these probably saves me 2 hours on a single cabinet. I have not having to make that stuff myself. So anyway, this is, see, we're gluing up all these drawer fronts for the Greek key piece I was just showing you. So this is all that I do. I always just clamp it up with wood glue, get your joints tight, and then I just clamp it up and I wait. I don't shoot pin nails because we do high gloss lacquer. This is a tip for everyone that wants to get into high gloss lacquer. You can't do high gloss lacquer and shoot nails everywhere. It doesn't work. Even if you fill all of your holes, you're still gonna see the high gloss lacquer. So it's super important that you clamp everything up and you take the time, which is another reason why our furniture is so expensive. There's no cheats. You can't really do much other than clamp everything up. You can't shoot nails from the outside. You can't speed up production in really any meaningful way because of the nature of high gloss lacquer, right? Filling it doesn't work. And I've argued with people about this for years. It just doesn't, you can't do it. So anyway, going to the paint shop, the paint shop today, we got tons of stuff that's sanded. Okay, now all this stuff, this is all mahogany, and you can see that when we sand it, there's lots of low spots, or excuse me, lots of high spots here. And that's all the stuff that you need to get out of your furniture before you start the high gloss lacquer process. And a lot of people think that plywood is flat, okay? And clearly you can see that it's not. There's nothing flat about wood until you start sanding on it with something that is generally very flat. You don't understand just how wavy wood actually is, because it's these plywood panels are man-made products, so they're just not perfect. There's nothing perfect about them. And anyway, I hope this really kind of illustrates what it is that we do, the amount of work that goes into sanding furniture before it's ready for the priming process and then the high gloss lacquer process. So I get people asking me all the time, how do you guys get your high gloss lacquered finish? And the thing that we do, and I tell everybody, I don't mind telling anybody my secrets because most people just can't do all the work, because that's really what it boils down to, okay? So here are the steps, okay? And got some likes. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate this. I'm trying to do these things and show you guys what this business is like and how the high gloss lacquer game works, how custom furniture and just furniture manufacturing works. So here's the process, okay? So I just showed you the furniture, okay? The furniture comes in, you have to disassemble it, and that's a whole process unto itself. But you have to start sanding the furniture with basically 150 grit. So you're gonna sand that stuff down, okay? And you're gonna use a hard block, right? So Festool has grades of all their sanding pads, okay? You need to get the hardest pad that you can, and you sand that stuff down, and that's where, here, let me come back to, that's where you're seeing a lot of these high spots and stuff like this. These are all spots that are just a lot higher than you would normally think that they would be, right? So having that hard pad, again, really shows you how that stuff, how unflat that stuff is, okay? The other thing we'll do is we'll take, we use a lot of, oh hell, what are those blocks called? Durablocks, right? We use a lot of those. And so we'll flat sand a lot of stuff as well. We have quarter sanders and triangle sanders, again, with hard pads on them. And we use that stuff. in the initial process of sanding, right? You don't have to use it all the way through, but in the initial process, you want that hard pad, okay? You want to see all of the high spots. You want it to be unforgiving, okay? And this is the thing that most people miss. So we go ahead and we do that. We hard sand everything with 150. Okay, the next thing you're going to do, and I'll show you again on here since we can see some of it, is we have different kinds of void fillers, okay? You'll notice our void filler is blue, okay? And that there's no reason for it. It's just to make it easy to see. But what's going to happen here is this is what's called, U-pull dolphin fill. It's basically a glazing putty, okay? And this is what we use for most of our filler work, okay? Even the micro fillers, this U-pull product works really good. And if I go to the stock room, I'll see if I can show you guys. But we use that stuff because it's dead flat, right? And it's easy to sand. Bondo is really hard, okay? Glazing putty is not. You don't want a super hard, void filling product, right? And Bondo is just hard as hell. Okay, so that's what we use. We use a U-pull product. It works great. It sands off evenly with the wood. It's fantastic for getting things dead flat. Okay, the next thing you have to do is you fill everything, you sand it all with 220, right? You're sanding with 220 to close up that grain just a little bit, and you sand everything down to 220. Once you're done with the 220 process, then you're going to move on to your vinyl sealer. Okay, and I'll show you guys what the vinyl sealer is, because a lot of people, I've gotten questions about that as well. So flip over here. So a vinyl sealer is a completely different product than typically what people use in paint. A lot of people like to use just general kinds of primers, or they'll use a primer for their specific paint. We don't do that. This is a Mohawk product, and you can see it's Duracoat, high solids, pre-cat sealer, all right? It's just a vinyl sealer. They make a normal version of this, and they make a high solids, all right? The high solids is the one that we use. Flip back here. And we use that because it gives us just a little bit more thickness to sand off with our primer to create a dead flat surface, okay? You don't want to go through your primer. If you go through your primer and you start spraying nitrocellulose lacquer, once that lacquer hits the wood, you're going to end up with a blemish, right? And then you're basically just going to have to sand and do another coat of paint because there's no way to fix that, right? So you don't want to burn through your primer. Trick to that is when you do burn through your primer, which you will inevitably do, you have to rattle can it, right? And so they also make a rattle can system for Mohawk as well. And you can spray that stuff on fairly thick, give it 30 minutes to dry, and then you can lightly, like 320, sand the top of it, and then you've got good coverage over the surface of your product, okay? So once you do that, that vinyl sealer, you're gonna let that stuff dry overnight, and you're gonna sand that the next day with 320. And you can start with 220 if you want, if you're using the high solids, but you generally want to do it with a 320, and you're going to flat sand that stuff with a block, or you're going to use a hard disc. Festool sander works really good. And anyway, you're going to sand all that stuff, again, with the 320. Then you can finally move on to paint, as long as you got good coverage on all of your vinyl sealer, right? And you go through that, you do all that, and then you're going to go ahead and lay down your base coats of paint, right? And I'll show you guys kind of what we use real quick. Let's see here, flip over. Okay, so here's just one. This is what we have right here. It's a little paint station. So this is just a Sherwin-Williams product, right? It's pre-cat lacquer. You know, you just got T77C55, and there's nothing special about it. I believe anyone can buy this product, provided your Sherwin store has it, okay? Not every Sherwin store has the nitrocellulose, but you can call ahead and see if they have it. And that's the stuff that we spray, okay? Now the trick with getting good glossy paint, here, we'll come over here. I'll show you guys kind of what we got going on here. So this is this is a softer, I guess it's called some kind of a softer pink. It's probably like a salmon berry color, but anyway, you can see that it has very nice gloss to it, and pinks don't generally, light pinks aren't gonna have, super reflective colors like some of your darker pinks will have. But in the light, which I don't have a ton of here, it looks fantastic and customers love it, okay? So the tricks to getting really good high gloss lacquered finishes are you have to lay on kind of a lightish coat. And I know these are totally technical terms, right? Lightish. So you're gonna lay on kind of a lightish coat, right? And the whole point of that, sometimes people call it like a tack coat. The whole point of that is basically just to get something to adhere to the primer, to get a good base coat of paint on so that your next coat has something really good to stick to, okay? And you're also going to, that gives you another layer that you can sand off, right? Because the truth about high gloss lacquer is it's just nothing but sanding. It's like 90% sanding, 10% painting, and that's just how it is. So you sand that down. once it dries. And just, again, you can sand it with about like 400. You can even hit it with 600, but 400 is kind of what we use. So hit it with some 400, and then you're going to go back over it, right? And this is where you basically are laying your butter coat. And again, I don't know the technical terms for painting. I'm not a professional painter by any means. I have a person that is the man. But what the trick is that you have to you're laying that paint on well enough that it almost goes off like molasses, right? You want it to, that's the way that we always talk about it, is it has to go on there and flow like molasses, right? And as it's drying, you end up with this beautiful glass-like layer of lacquer, right? And so people have to lay it a lot heavier than they think. And it's very difficult for people to learn. It's very frustrating when you're spraying vertically. It's a thing that most people get frustrated with. On the horizontal surfaces, it's not too bad. It's because it's horizontal, gravity kind of works with you. It's on the vertical surfaces that you really have to practice, right? And if we look at, let's run through a few pieces here. See if I can get this thing. Can't really get it in light. Turn it around here. If you look, let's see if we can get in close here. So we'll get in close, as close as I can, and you can see that there's not a lot of, imperfections. It's very nice, it's very clean, and again, this might not be the best color. We'll try some other colors in a minute, but if you look at the top is just super glossy and buttery looking because gravity is really working with you. And again, I apologize, it's not the best color. We'll get to a better one. But once you do that, you lay on that buttery coat. That's kind of where the work starts. Okay, so once you lay that on, a lot of times there is going to be an imperfection. It's not always something that you can fix right away. And let me see if I have an example. Let's kind of run over here and let's go look at something that I know is just painted here the other day. Let's see if we can find it. Okay, so this is an orange, and it's not super bright. Okay, so. And I'll tell you guys why it's not super bright. I'll give you one more trick if you guys keep listening. Keep hitting the likes, and I'm just gonna lay all kinds of secrets on you. Okay, so let's look in closer. I got to get in the light. Okay, so you see that? That's an imperfection. All right, so in the case of this piece, something like that's not gonna work. We can't have that. Okay, so we'll end up probably, let's see here. For this piece, what we're going to do is we're going to end up 400 sanding this piece, and then we're going to lay clear coat over. Okay, so this orange normally would absolutely gleam. All right, so the orange in this case, you should be able to do your hair and makeup in it. That's how vibrant it should be, and it's not. And the reason it's not is because two different manufacturers offer nitrocellulose lacquer, and we use both of them, and for two different reasons. Okay, your main manufacturers of top tier high gloss lacquer or high gloss nitrocellulose lacquer, I guess is all we'd call it, is going to be Mohawk, and it's going to be Sherwin-Williams, right? And those are the two best products that we've used. There's other companies. There's a company called Malaysia that makes really good stuff. I just can't get a really good shine out of their product, and I didn't work with it a ton. I hear it's fantastic though, but I just haven't been able to do it. So anyway, point is this particular product, while the shine is, it's okay. It's just not nearly good enough for the Resplendent Crow. It's not nearly good enough at all. So we're going to end up taking this Mohawk nitrocellulose, and we're going to spray Sherwin-Williams clear over it. Sherwin-Williams has the best nitrocellulose lacquer we've ever used. Okay, we've been doing this for almost 10 years now, and probably painted 15,000 pieces of furniture. We've just done a ton. I was doing 2,000 a year during COVID. So you can see. Let's see here. Now that I look on this top, there's a little bit of, again, I don't even know the technical term for this. It's not orange peel. It's just almost looks like it's slightly raised just a tiny bit. And again, I'm sorry, guys. We're trying to get you some good video here. So because of that imperfection, this imperfection, we're definitely going to sand this top, and we'll reshoot it with clear. Now, when you sand lacquer with 400 grit and then you shoot it with clear, all the shine comes back. Okay, every bit of it, because nitrocellulose bleeds into it or melds into itself, and it will recreate the gloss. It'll look gorgeous. Okay, so that's something that you need to know if you want to learn to spray with nitrocellulose lacquer. Nitrocellulose is meant to be sanded, sprayed on top, and again, the color just starts to pop. Okay, the best colors that I produced, you do not sand. If you are spraying like, let's say you're doing a black. I did a video of a big ass dining table, jet black. We we sprayed clear over the top of it. It looked like a Steinway piano. I ended up putting PPF film over it, okay? And that's, again, if you listen to these lives, I'm just giving you, like, this is the stuff that everybody wants. The PPF film will take your high gloss nitrocellulose lacquer finish and it will double the sheen, okay? And this is something that's very expensive, but if you have a top tier client and you really want to wow them, or you can get them to pay the money, it's about $30 a square foot to put the PPF on top of something. But I'm dead serious when I tell you this. It will literally double the shine of a high gloss lacquer that you have literally polished. Okay, it's incredible what it does. Plus it protects it and it makes it not impervious to damage, but you can put plates on it. You can put spoons, forks, things. It becomes much more usable. If you're doing like foyer cabinets, it's fantastic for that because it just allows it to take a little bit more abuse. Customers love it, and it's a fantastic option if you can get them to see the benefits of it, and if you can get them to look at it. So anyway, all right, next set of cabinets. So these are, I got some cleared cabinets. All right, so this is chartreuse. All right, the color's chartreuse, and I only know this because I'm married to my wife. I guess I would just call this a yellow. This is yellow with a hint of green in it. But anyway, you can see there is clear coat on top of this, right? And you can see how it shines just a ton. The bottom of this toe kick is just MDF that I went ahead and I just painted over. These cabinets are for my wife's bar. So this is the only thing that we primed, right? We only primed the face frame of these cabinets because it's going to get a top. You're never going to see it. I'll show you guys the door to this. We'll look at that and see what it looks like. I haven't looked at it yet. So coming here to the back to the drying room. And again, I appreciate everyone taking the time to watch this. This is probably a good piece to look at. But anyway, so here's the doors. So let's take these out and see what they look like. Ugh, they are kind of heavy. So we'll see where we can find a nice bright spot here to set these. So I'll take these and set these on top of our cabinet here. All right, so you can see the gloss is super sick. And let me lift it up here for you. All right, so this is what you're gonna get from a chartreuse, right? Remember, your dark colors are your best. Your blacks, your navies, dark navies, your greens, reds, and your deep pinks are gonna be fantastic. But this is beautiful. This is a good looking piece. We're very happy with the quality of this. You can kind of see it from the side. You know, it has the mirror shine that people want, and it's a good looking piece. You know, on the back is basically a C surface. We don't worry too much about the back, but again, it would be sanded and primed and painted. So it's really nice looking, okay? Yeah, deep pinks, yeah, deep pinks, exactly. That's probably a better word for it. Well, let me set this thing down real quick. Apologies. Yeah, and this is the thing. This is what I try and get. Like, I'm not a painter, right? And that's the thing is like I would consider myself. I wanted to like title myself. I would title myself as a furniture maker, right? You could say master furniture maker, whatever. Business owner, you know. I'm basically the bitch. That's what I do. I just do everything. I'm a firefighter. I put out fires all day long. But I've been doing this for so long, and we've got great employees here that are masters at what they do. It's allowed me to really learn exactly how all this stuff works. And like I said, I try and convey all this to you guys as best as I can. But yeah, I appreciate the questions. Like, yeah, deep pinks, deep reds, your deep colors are going to shine the best, right? But there's trade-offs, okay? And here's some of the trade-offs. And again, painters will know this, and I don't know who's watching this, but when you spray deep colors, they do not dry very fast, right? They take a lot longer to dry, and they go on thin, right? Now, the reason for this is because the tints carry different densities, okay? And here, I'll show you guys this. We're just gonna do this, right? We're gonna look at all this kind of stuff. I meant to just show you guys some stuff and get out of here, but so this is a tint system, okay? Now, every single tint, there's 13 different kinds of tint, all right? So this one is gonna be your TGR, and I used to know what all this shit stands for. I don't anymore, okay? We got YOX, and anyway, all of these are different kinds of tint systems that are gonna make up all of your colors, okay? Now, all of these colors way different because of the density, all right? The heaviest one of all is gonna be your whites. Whites are titanium dioxide. They probably weigh it. So if this, say this weighs, let's just say this weighs 1 pound. A titanium dioxide is gonna weigh 5 pounds, all right? It's very heavy, it's very dense, but your green colors and your blues are gonna be extremely light, right? Now, That's one of the reasons these things spray so, they spray so light and they take so long to dry, right? Now, if you just spray a straight white color, the coverage is amazing, right? Which is why primers are generally white. You get fantastic coverage, and that color dries fairly quick. It dries evenly. But again, when you spray reds, holy shit, you have to spray reds we have to do like 3 or 4 coats to get decent coverage. If you're doing like that chartreuse that I just showed you, that's 3 coats minimum, because it just doesn't cover as well. It sprays very light. And then when you try and spray vertically, because it sprays so light, it tends to want to run really bad. So anyway, you learn all this stuff as a painter. But anyway, so let me show you guys some more stuff we have going on. See what else we got in the paint room in here. More of these Hermes reds. And remember what I was telling you guys, this stuff is not as brilliant as it should be because of the manufacturer. We'll shoot it with clear and it'll pop like nothing you've ever seen. Yeah, same thing with these. We got some kind of a pink dresser here. Looks like might be some kind of a faux bamboo piece, but pretty nice looking. Looks like it's probably on coat number 1, right? You can see it's not, you could see the silhouette, but you can't see the detail in me, right? So it probably needs some more paint. And that's kind of what we got going on with that one. Run back in here, go into the final assembly room, which is filling up as well. Come back over here. So final assembly, so this is, like I said, I've talked about this before. This is going to be my new bread and butter. We are starting to put together this Pagoda faux bamboo china cabinet. And this is, again, we design all the stuff. We make it all right here in the same shop that I'm showing you guys all this stuff in. We don't outsource this stuff. I do outsource the legs, but we make all the faux bamboo trims. We make all the panels, doors, everything is made right here in St. Louis. And you can see we have the second one over here. The client bought 2 of them from us for her dining room, I believe. So anyway, that's what we got going on there. This is a ruby Arway piece. So you can see this is what I was telling you guys about, okay? So pay attention to the glossiness on this one. This is the color ruby, and it is shot with clear over the top of it. So it's gonna be a Sherwin top coat, right? So we'll top coat it until the finish is as good as we can get it, and then we'll shoot it with clear right over the top. We don't sand it. We only sand it if we need to, but the best finish comes from shooting clear over the top of your base like you would if you were painting a car, right? So the concept is very similar, even though it's not car paint, right? We're not doing it in, there's not stages, this is all 1-part component. This isn't a two-part deal. A lot of paints, a lot of your very durable paints are going to be 2-step or even 3-step, 3 parts, whatever you want to call it. Nitrocellulose lacquer, you just get it pre-mixed at the store, and it comes in, you shoot it, you got like 6 months to a year to get the stuff shot. So it's not nearly as durable as like a paint finish or a conversion varnish or some of these other products that are out there, automotive paints and stuff like that. So here is, flip back over. So here we've got this pink dresser. I think I might have showed this. This used to be white, and we sprayed it pink. And this is one of the great things about doing lacquered furniture is that you don't have to leave it the same color, right? So if a customer walks in, sees this, and says, oh, I love that piece of furniture, but I don't like the color, you just can respray it. You sand it, repaint it. As long as you're spraying darker as opposed to lighter, you're in pretty good shape. And in this case, it was white before, so it was very easy to just come in here and sand it and shoot some peony pink over the top of it, and it's good to go. And this one has no clear coat over it. This is just your basic Sherwin color. It looks fantastic, and yeah, the customer would be very happy with it. So we're not worried about that one. I'll flip back around. This is, I think I talked about this last week. This is a satin green, and this is a Mohawk color, and this is part of our Emily line. And this is a fantastic piece. So we designed this and built this here in St. Louis. Again, it's very nice. And like I said last week, satins are just a bitch to refinish, so don't mess them up. I'm not good at finishing those. So I want to show you guys our new dresser. Show you guys that real quick, which is a beautiful color as well. Back over here, we got, of course, more stuff coming in. So this is our newest piece. I have the nightstand I'm going to be putting together hopefully this weekend. So this is a completely CNC cut cabinet. This is new for the Resplendent Crow, and those are either here for finish. This has the best finish. So this is going to be your Resplendent Crow ruby finish with clear over the top of it. And again, you can see, and this is right off the gun. There's no polishing. There's none of that. You can polish this thing up if you really want to, but you can see that the reflection is right off the back of the hardware, right? It's beautiful. And this is what people want. So if you're getting into the painting game, you know, this is one of the things we're able to sell to people because women just love this finish. You know, they just love these glossy colors. Men, not so much, but it is what it is. And again, CNC cut piece. So this particular dresser, I would charge, I charge about $7,000 to make any kind of a dresser. It's just kind of where we start, just because of the nature of labor. Labor is so expensive, and it's not even, materials aren't that expensive. It's just people making stuff is just it's gotten out of control, to be quite honest with you. So this piece, I think we might sell for like $3,800 on our website. So again, we've knocked off several $1,000s in order to make something like this by CNC cutting the whole thing. And it's not really what I want to do. I didn't get in business to CNC cut furniture. I always wanted to make the most high-end, bespoke kind of furniture that I could for the most amount of money that I could possibly charge. And we've been able to do that for a very long time. But there comes a time when you have to kind of dip into new markets, and you have to offer new products and all these kind of things. So there's a lot of things that go into business other than just doing that one thing that you want to do. And that's just life. So got more nice. Can we see the orange unit? Yeah, we go back to the orange unit. I'm assuming you're talking about the Shangri-La piece. So the orange unit is made by the company Dixie, which I believe Dixie is out of business. And I think this is the one you're talking about, I hope. And I'll show you, I got two orange pieces over here. We'll look at two of them because I didn't even show this other one. This is a Hermes orange secretary, right? So these are very, very common. People see these all over the place. They got the nice, what they call it, ball and claw foot. And this one is actually interesting because we had damage on the lid, okay? There's a lid that goes here, pops down, right? Everyone kind of knows what that is, and there's all the goodies on the inside. Well, this one, we changed the color of our formula of the original Hermes Orange. We made something called Hermes Orange 2, and when we had cracking on this door, so I had to respray the door. We used the wrong formula, and it just didn't work, you know. So we didn't want to respray the whole cabinet, so we got a new formula, so resprayed that, and it didn't end up matching the rest of it. Anyway, we just ended up respraying the whole cabinet, and that's one of the things that's one of the things about painting. A lot of times you will want to, you'll be like, oh, I'm just going to respray this one thing and it's all going to look great. And here's the thing, when you are spraying from the top of your gallon, it's going to look a little bit different than when you spray from the bottom of your gallon, right? Even if you mix it, I don't care what anybody says, there's something about the bottom of the can once you get there. And you can mix up tons of paint, you know, which is obviously the fix, right? But when you do what we do, I mean, we'll shoot a dozen colors a day, and it's just, it's hard to keep up with. So anyway, I don't know if that was the piece you were talking about specifically. I'm going to go back to this. But yeah, these secretaries are real popular. And then of course the Shangri-La is the other one, which you could have been talking about that one. This is let me get back here, hold on one second. This is the hutch that goes on top of the dresser unit, right? So it's kind of a pair. But you can see it's got the traditional faux bamboo details, and then you're going to have, these are typical to see the Shangri-La, and actually there's a Shangri-La detail that runs along the front here, which busted out. I get it cut on CNC router, so I'll have that installed probably in a week or two. So anyway, this piece looks pretty good, but what I'm looking for is, I like to show you guys imperfections. So see this? If you guys can see this in the light, okay? That is a spot that got missed in the sanding, okay? So what that is that's a dip that never got filled. So we'll probably have to, it's vintage, so we may go back in to fill that, but generally we like to fill that kind of stuff. So I don't see any other major imperfections. You can see a little bit of styrations in the paint, and again, it's fine, it's vintage, we're not worried about that. If this were new, we wouldn't have that, but anyway. So that's what's going on there. Let me get out of all this furniture if I can keep from damaging anything. So anyway, yeah, so the furniture game's kind of tricky. We'll come back in here to final assembly real quick. See if I can show you guys anything else going on in here. I think most of this is stuff I've already had here. This is probably new. So this is going to be, this is called an Urbane Bronze color. And this is going to be your Sherwin color. This is straight off the gun. There's no clear on here. And, you know, so the finish is pretty good on this one. It's not bad. The the hardware on this is actually, these are actually reject pieces of hardware. So I don't know why we put this on here. Not that the quality's bad, but we stopped selling these and we weren't going to sell them. So it doesn't, I hope nobody ends up wanting those because we're not going to have any more of them. So anyway, but it's a pretty nice looking piece. You can see there's a little bit of dust, right? We got a big shop here and it's tough to keep things clean. We got these hutches in here. And funny thing about these hutches, I built both of these hutches. I built these off of the originals because we didn't have any, so we needed to make them. And so I built those, and we got these nice papers. My wife is known for putting a lot of papers in the back of china cabinets, right? And she's just kind of one of the people that popularized that style, I believe. So if I come swip around here, we got another china cabinet, same deal. Nice pretty bird paper. And it's a nice looking piece. So anyway, get that going. But yeah, I think that might be it, y'all. I don't know if there's, what do we got here? Do you own a CNC machine or do you outsource it? So I outsource it. I looked into buying one, and the story with CNC routers, there's a lot that goes into owning one above and beyond the machine. And that's kind of where I get hung up. So I got a buddy who, and if anyone needs any help with this kind of stuff, he cuts kits professionally for people. He's a real good guy, and he has the top of the line shop saver machines. And I get them cut from him, right? And I can go over the numbers. If people want to know what it costs to get things cut, I can give you guys some quick numbers on just some stuff that I've got cut here in the shop right now. But yeah, getting a machine in here requires additional power for us, and we have the floor space, but then you got to add vacuum, and it's just, there's a lot of things that go into that. So the electrical side alone, you know, is probably $5-6 grand to get that brought in. The machines, anywhere from $50,000 to $80,000 depending on what manufacturer you go to. And I get my stuff cut. I have a guy, like I said, he's probably 10 miles down the road, and so he'll cut an entire dresser out for me for $400. So come back over here, and yeah, I'll just give you guys the numbers real quick. So this entire dresser cost me $400. Okay, that's all the material. That's all of the, you know, the top base, end panels. If I come in here to the drawers, he cuts all the drawers out of this half-inch plywood, which I'm personally not a fan of, but it's all cut out. It all goes together perfectly. The fronts, you have to do a little bit of work too, but for the most part, they're pretty good. The base is something that I have to make. So every one of these feet cost about $20. And again, all this stuff will be outsourced. So I've got a vendor that makes feet and legs, so they'll take care of all that for me. If you look inside here, your horizontal piece here, these are all 3-inch runners all the way along here, right? Normally, I would put framing panels in everything, but you can't do that on a CNC router unless you want to cut down like 3/4 inch MDF and make, you know, like faux panels. But anyway, so that entire cabinet is it might be $450, but it's not very much money, and the quality is fantastic. And if you look at the finish, let's zoom in on the finish, guys. So if you look in here and you look at the quality of the finish, you don't, again, I'm trying to get you guys some good light. You don't see anything that gives me pause. Like, the finish is really good, and there's no low spots, there's no high spots. It's not a low quality product. It's that UV coated stuff that you see right here. This is all UV coated, and it sands and paints really well, you know. So there you go. There's one thing. $450 cuts that entire kit, and this is on an $84,000 router. Right, this is top of the line. This thing costs $250 an hour to run it, and you can send. And see, I have all the engineering side, so I understand. I make all my own models, and then I just send them over to my CNC guy. He converts them to G code for his router, and then he creates the programs for the entire kit. And then I can just order, you know, a 100-05 dresser, and he just cuts the entire kit. I go pick it up, and it's done. Okay. Now we flip over here. So to cut out each one of these, so think about this. This piece is 8 feet long, right? It takes him about 5 minutes to run this part, okay? I used to run these myself. This would take me a minimum of 2 hours on my pin router, and the quality was garbage. And I wish I could show you guys what the quality of what I did compared to what the CNC router does, and it's mind-blowing how the vacuum systems work and the lack of vibration. There's just no vibration in this massive CNC router. It's pretty impressive. And that's one of the things about using a router versus making things by hand. It took me a long time to understand this fact, to be quite honest with you. I've built furniture for I don't know, 25 years at this point, and I always was one of those people that's like, I don't want to ever use CNCs. I'm going to make it all by hand, blah, blah, blah. And there's some truth to that. There is a little bit of truth to that, but it's very hard to get the quality out of a router in the time that it takes for you to make it yourself and get the same quality. It just, unfortunately, that's just how it is. I mean, all these parts that I'm showing you right here, all this stuff, these are all for my Greek key line of furniture. And again, all this, I cut out all these parts here were, I want to say these were about $240 for like 10 of them, right? So basically that means his machine ran for about an hour to cut all of these out of a single sheet of material, right? So maybe that's a good way to think about it. Running a complex pattern, right? So that machine is just going, you know, for an hour. He was able to cut out an entire sheet of those for me for $240. I would have taken not all day, but it would have taken me well over a day to make all that stuff on my own. And for me to pay somebody, I mean, you think if I'm paying somebody $30 an hour, it's at least going to take them 8 to 10 hours. I mean, at minimum, right? So now I got a guy who can work on building a cabinet while this other thing's being done. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer from a business standpoint. So anyway, that's what's going on there. This is our top-selling piece of furniture, which is Zane credenza. We sell about 50 to as many as 75 of these a year, and they're super high margin. So this particular piece of furniture, all right, let's come back over here since we're talking CNC routers. So here's the kit, right? This is the very first kit that I've ever got for one of my credenzas, all right? So these are end panels for my faux bamboo vanities, and then all of this here, and here, these are all parts for that credenza that I just showed you. So it's basically like 5 or 6 parts, very simple. This particular grouping of parts is I want to say it's like $140, $150 for all those parts, right? And they come in, they're perfectly square. My guy can just put them together, and he uses the same joinery that we use here at the Crow. So if I show you guys, if we look at what we got going on here, right? We have our dado, we have a full frame and panel, and so this is basically the strongest kind of setup you can have for traditional furniture. The dado is just, and the rabbit is pretty much the only way to go for making furniture, and they're going to cut it the same way. So anyway, I don't want to bore everyone. I appreciate everyone spending the time. I think about 42 minutes at this point. I need to think about wrapping up and getting out of here. So I showed you guys a lot of stuff, a lot of things about painting, a lot of things about making furniture, and this is what it is, you know. So I hope everyone has a great weekend, and we'll do this again probably next Friday, and I'll show you guys what we got done and what's in the shop and what's moving. And I'll try and do a live when my shipper is here, so I can show you guys how everything is wrapped, how it's shipped, right? Because we don't ship things like traditional people. Like we have, I got my own shippers on staff, and they actually hand wrap everything. And it's basically, it's going to be shrink wrapped, it's going to be foam wrapped, and it's going to be blanket wrapped, and then plastic wrapped one more time. It's all loaded onto a truck by hand, and it's all dropped off at somebody's house by hand, unwrapped, brought into their home, and put into place, right? Every detail is checked when it's delivered, and maybe I can show you guys some of that. That'd be kind of cool. So anyway, have a great weekend, and I will yak to you later.